My Canadian YouTube bro Ave, Arduino versus Evo, link down below in the description, although you probably don't need the link because, well, he's a lot bigger than I am on the internet. But he's occasionally hinted that he thinks I probably eat porridge in the morning because I'm Scottish. And you know what? He's absolutely right. I do eat porridge every morning. And I thought, okay, let's show you a classic Scottish way of making porridge, since I could call this How a True Scot Makes a Porridge, but in reality everybody makes a porridge differently. And I want to show you how I make mine because it makes it more palatable. So I'm using co-op porridge oats. The only thing you should really avoid is super cheap or some sort of like hippie organic porridge oats, which will invariably have lots of husks and unpleasant things in them. But the co-op porridge oats are very good. You rarely get a bit of the husk in it. It's pretty much good milled oats. And I start off my recipe with my set of weighing scales and my porridge jug. Now, I use a jug for my porridge, a plastic jug, and this is where everybody will say plastic gives you cancer, but nonetheless, I'm quite old and it's not killed me yet. But I do use a plastic jug and I stick it in the microwave. And the reason I use the plastic jug is because it's just one of these things is that when you heat porridge up, it will foam up. And I'd like to make the porridge quite quickly, so I add boiling water to it, stir it up, stick it in the microwave. And if you were to put it in a bowl in the microwave, it would go everywhere. So I use a jug. This jug is also used to meter out hot water into my AeroPress coffee maker when I'm in the mood for coffee. So I'll stick it on the scales and I shall push the button to tare them, which means basically it sets to 0 with the scale, with the jug on it, which incidentally weighs 74 grams. Okay. And I take my oats. I'm measuring this in grams just because it's a higher resolution, but I shall show you what it is in grams, ounces afterwards. So I'm going to add approximately 55 grams of oats. And this is where the oats invariably just shoot out at really high speed and you end up with 60 or 70 grams unexpectedly. But let's see what I can do here. It's not too bad, it's not too bad. I've gone way over the top. Okay, so it turns out this is going to be the 62 gram oat version. I'll put the oats down out the way because the packet is a bit glary. So that equates to roughly, well, see, this is it. It says 2 ounces, but ultimately, grams are the best way to measure, unless your scales measure in tenths of an ounce or something like that. But anyway, 55 to 60 grams of oats in the jug. I then add 3 sweeteners. You could add sugar if you want. Traditionally, I add these standard saccharine-based sweeteners. Traditionally with porridge when I was young, when we made the porridge, we'd make it in a bowl with water and just add a pinch of salt. And then afterwards, when it was poured into the plates, it kind of sat in the plates. But you'd sprinkle it with brown sugar, which is basically white sugar really, but healthier according to the sugar industry. And then we'd pour some milk on. The milk would just immediately float over the top, and it didn't work that well. This is a much better approach. However, I've got my sweeteners in now, and note that the saccharine sweeteners, again, people are going to say, saccharine causes cancer. When saccharine sweeteners were first brought out, they were the first commercial sweetener, and the sugar industry was not happy because it threatened their lucrative market. So they set out, trying to damage the reputation of saccharine by basically claiming it caused cancer. Just like the tobacco industry claims that vaping devices cause cancer. Yes, nothing like a riled industry to spread cancer rumours, is there? So now I've got the sweeteners in, which the saccharine sweeteners, there's no evidence at all that they cause cancer, and that's after decades of use. I've been using them for decades. The next thing I add, I should actually show you this before I add it. I add Coffee Mate non-dairy creamer. Just because it does a good job. It dissolves better than dried milk, so I just add 1 scoop of that in, just a standard sort of teaspoon size scoop. And then as the pièce de résistance, to make the porridge more palatable and exciting, I add sweetened dried cranberries, or you could add cut mixed peel, which gives a very marmalade taste to the porridge. Very nice. Or whatever you want to add. Now the downside of the sweetened dried cranberries is that although they're really tiny and they taste great, when you open them up, it smells like piss. I don't know why they smell like piss. It's a salty, sweet smell of piss. Fortunately, they don't taste like piss. Let me just check they don't taste like piss. No. They taste like cranberries, that's fine. But you want to put a bunch of them in. And that's it. So that's the oats, the 3 sweeteners, the non-dairy creamer, and cranberries too, or whatever you want. Don't add chocolate chips because, tempting as it is, they'll just melt and fuse into it, which will make it slightly chocolatey. It's up to you. Now, the reason I chose 55 grams or thereabout of the oats was because now I'm going to add the boiling water, and that's round about 260 millilitres of water, which is about 9 ounces of water. And the reason I choose that quantity is because I have a Breville hot cup, which means you put the jug under, you click the button on top, and after about 30 seconds it spews out a mug full of hot water, which is roughly what that volume is. So then, once I've done that, I'll stick it in the microwave and give it about 1 minute in the microwave. Now, when you're microwaving porridge, it really does foam up, so you have to, the first time you do this, just watch it carefully to see if when it's ready. I use a paper plate on the microwave turntable just as a precaution. It's always there, whatever I'm cooking in the microwave. That includes ferric chloride and other dangerous chemicals heating them up. And waxes and, I put all manner of stuff in the microwave that it's not really 100% food use. But once you've added the boiling water and you've heated it, you end up with something like this. A hot thermonuclear steaming liquid which can't be eaten at the moment because it's far too runny and will take ages to cool down. This is the downside of porridge. It's very easy to prepare, but it takes ages for it to cool down. And as it cools down, it will gradually firm up until you get a nice stodgy porridge to eat. This is where I suppose really... Did I used to do this past? I think I did. I used to make my porridge the night before and stick it in the fridge, in the bowl, and then just pull it out and give it a quick blast in the microwave. That's probably going to get people up in arms about food hygiene or something like that. But yes. Now, there's another thing you can do. Because I use controlled portions of the porridge, I occasionally make up batches of porridge in advance of the week using plastic component bags because the 55 grams of oats fits perfectly into one of these. Let's measure it. It's a standard plastic component bag with measurements I'll give you in metric and imperial. So metric is 90 millimetre by the whole bag length is about 130 millimetre with a closable area of about 110 millimetres. That equates to round about 3.5 inches. Total length 5 inches, say, and 4.5 inches. So I suppose 3.5 by 4.5 is probably what this size is. But what you do is you measure out the oats using the same jug when it's dry. Put 55 grams of oats in, 3 sweeteners, spoonful of the creamer and a bunch of cranberries. Close it up and give it a shake to coat the cranberries in the dust. And it just means you've got loads and loads of little packs that you can just then instantly prepare. You can buy it commercially. You can get it with loads of sugar and flavourings and other chemicals pre-added. Sultanas, raisins, cranberry and apple. Shall we pour this out? Look at the sultanas, raisins, cranberries and apple. Let's pour it out and see what's inside. These are quite popular in Scotland. They are little bags, but they've got a plastic lining in them. And once you've tipped the oats out into a bowl, you then fill this up with milk to the line. And because it's got plasticized, it's waterproof. So let's see what we've got here. I think, I don't think I'm getting as much cranberry here or raisins. I think, where's the apple? I think these little chunks here might be the dried apple and these might be the raisins and sultanas and things like that. This is why making your own on the rest, I can see all the sugar in here as well. I'm kind of wondering what the ingredients are. One moment, please. Right, here's the ingredients. Ingredients: Quaker whole grain rolled oats, 70%, sugar, sultanas 5.2%, raisins 3.2%, dried cranberry pieces 2.6%, dried apple pieces 1.3%, salt and natural flavouring. Ooh, natural flavouring, whatever that is. It doesn't specifically say. Sugar is listed as the second ingredient, and they do tend to, it's absolutely full of sugar. You can see the sugar all over it. Knowing the food industry, they've put a lot of sugar in because it's the yummy bit that keeps you coming back for more. The carbohydrate, normal oats are quite low in sugars. They're very high in carbohydrate. That's one of the nice things about oats. They're very high in carbohydrate, loads of energy, but they're complex carbohydrates. You eat them, they won't just go whoosh into your system like eating a cake or candy or something like that. But they burn slowly in your system. They release their energy slowly. It's a really good food. I want to mention that this tub here that I've made typically has about 200 calories in a portion, that large tub, and that's actually more porridge than I'd get out of this. This is close to half. This is only actually it's 40 grams roughly of the ingredients. 40 grams of the ingredients, I'm not going to say oats because it certainly isn't 40 grams of oats, it's much less than that. The sugars, there's virtually no sugar in actual oats, so they're listing per 100 grams 26 grams of sugar, which means it's over 25% sugar. They really have piled the sugar into this to make it more yummy and keep you coming back. That's maybe a reason not to eat these unless you're into eating tons of sugar, which is a bit of a debatable health thing. So I'm going to give my porridge a stir up. Back in a moment. One slight interlude just for reference. I made up my own pack of porridge here, which is just the 55 grams of oats, the 3 sweeteners, the spoonful of non-dairy creamer, and then a bunch of cranberries or whatever you want, and then shaken to coat the cranberries in the dust so they don't remain sticky in the bag. It means that all you have to do to make the porridge is open this bag, tip it into the jug, fill it with that 1 mug of water and stick it in the microwave for a minute. It doesn't help the fact that it still takes ages to cool down. This thing is still steaming hot. One nice thing, the cranberries absorb a lot of the water and they really puff up because they're full cranberries. They're not just little shreds of cranberry. Where's the cranberry there? Let's compare what you're getting in your DIY porridge versus what you get in the... Yeah. Anyway, so a healthier option. Just making your own packs up like that, and of course you can add whatever fruits you want. And that's more or less it. What is there to say? It's going to remain thermonuclear for quite some time. Now, there are rumours that I don't know if this is folklore or it's real, but in Scotland, in Glasgow, Glasgow's an industrial city, and the guys, one of the main employers was a shipyard and engineering works. And there are stories how they lined drawers, and at the beginning of the week, the lady of the house would make a huge tub of porridge and pour it into the drawer and then slice it like cake. And the husband would then take a slice of porridge as his lunch to work, because of course it's really nutritious. It's not very high calorie, but it certainly has that sort of imparts at least some energy. I don't know if that's true. How did the hygiene go of porridge just sitting in a drawer like that for all week? And at just room temperature. I guess the houses may have been quite cold then, not sure. Really don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. It's one of those things that you hear, but you don't know if it ever has real truth behind it. But there we go. Porridge. This is how a true Scot makes his porridge. It's still steaming hot. I won't be eating it yet until it's cooled down, but when I do eat it, it will be very nice. I know that because I eat it regularly and still like it. So Abe's right. Yeah, Scots do eat porridge in the morning. Well, this particular Scot certainly eats porridge. I think Ralph eats porridge in the morning as well. It's just one of those things. It's our traditional breakfast. I suppose that's like grits in America, where the corn grits, is it? Someone sent me some corn grits. I'll have to try those. But they put melted butter on them, I think. Not really sure. It sounds more savoury than ours. Ours is typically served kind of sweetish. But there you go. Yep, not much more to say. This is how you make porridge. Enjoy.